Gentlemen, the time has come once again to discuss things.
It was I, the one, the only.
All good.
Alright. Hello everyone and welcome to a normal episode of Geeky Gentlemen. We're done. Theme months are over. Like I love theme months, but then at the same time it's like, it's getting exhausting. We're done, we're back to normal. Theme months are over. I am Super2. Joining me today is...
Alfie, the Brit without fear, who thankfully now doesn't have to think of another Christmas-themed name.
Yeah, yay. So today we're here to do a character discussion, and what character are we discussing today?
We're talking about the heir to the royal bloodline, the son of arguably one of the worst fathers ever, Trunks.
Yes. Princess Trunks. All hail Princess Trunks. So yeah, this is just one of those things where I didn't really have much of a plan, but we're doing a Dragon Ball fan manga later on this week that's all about Trunks, and Dragon Ball Z Abridged just released their Trunks epilogue to episode 60-bit, and Mr. Fusion just put out a video today about the Trunks History of Trunks special. So I'm like, you know what? I feel like the universe is telling me to do some more Trunks stuff. So here we are. Trunks is on the brain, as it were. So where would you put Trunks in your rankings of like favorite Dragon Ball characters?
That's a tough one. I'd say he's definitely in the top 10. Just because Dragon Ball is such a series, I think I mentioned this on Twitter, I saw that you posted it as well, it's such a series that lives on its character writing. Like, Toriyama really nails just interactions and making these people in like these outlandish situations like breathe and like feel fully fleshed in such an absurd situation. So it's hard to nail it down to specific things because there's different arcs and characters change arc by arc. But no, Trunks is great. Trunks is like, he's unique, especially among not just other Saiyans, but like other characters in the entire series, because he kind of breaks a lot of the tropes and looks at these characters from an outside perspective, because he is from a situation where he didn't grow up and he's almost from another series, and he walks into this wacky martial artist focused thing from he comes to dystopian future. So no, Trunks is a really interesting character, and there's so many different versions of him. I guess we can go into that later, but yeah, it's hard to say which one is a favorite, but I definitely like him.
Yeah, for me, it's Vegeta then Trunks are my favorite characters in Dragon Ball. I really like Roshi's up there and everything, but like, nah, Vegeta and Trunks are where it's all at for me. Those two just embody kind of the journey of characters throughout the series of Dragon Ball. So yeah, I really, really like Trunks, and just, I mean, since the beginning, he gets possibly the most badass introduction episode in all of Dragon Ball.
Oh yeah.
Like, we just get through that huge arc of dealing with Frieza, and it takes like Goku fulfilling this legend that Vegeta's been building up forever and ever, and then Trunks just walks on screen and dispatches Frieza with ease, and it's like, holy shit. You look back at Dragon Ball and like, you look at the King Piccolo stuff, and that kind of starts a chapter in a new era, a new chapter in Dragon Ball, and I feel like Trunks defeating Frieza does the exact same thing. It's just like, it's on a completely different scale that we haven't even dealt with yet. And I feel like he kind of embodies that too.
Yeah, definitely. Especially you've only mentioned King Piccolo and kind of the escalation. And then you are right, this is like, that was the sign of Dragon Ball going much darker than it had in the past. Like that whole arc starts with Krillin dying, so that was like the massive shock at the time. And then we think we can't go any past that once we end with Frieza blowing up a planet, and we think, okay, that you can't top that. And then we start with Trunks, and here's this badass, wipes him out, wipes the floor. And we think, oh, is he going to be like, what's going on? And immediately Trunks comes and says, no, I'm nothing. I'm a bitch. These guys, and like, it's such brilliant execution of, all right, here's the previous threat to set like a measure, but then here's why that blows that out of the water and sets up a new story, and we can move on with something fresh. So I really appreciate it, and I totally get you, especially because the story, I don't think Dragon Ball ever gets as dark as it does in especially the original like manga where it ends at Boo. It never gets really as dark as the stuff we see with Trunks' future. So you're right in terms of this, that is where things get to their most hopeless.
Yeah, and like I like what you said earlier about how he is so different from everyone else, because like he's fucking John Connors. Let's just be honest with ourselves. He's so fucking John Connor, and he like comes into this world where everyone treats the fate of the world like it's a fucking game. Like it's not in that arc, but you got an arc down the line. You got the Buu saga, and you got like Goku, Gohan, and Vegeta playing rock paper scissors to see who gets to fight first for the fate of the universe or whatever. And it's like they just treat it like it's a fucking game, and yet Trunks comes from the reality where it's most definitely not. Like, they're always of the opinion, oh, anything big that's ever come at us, we've been able to beat in the end. Trunks comes from the reality of, no, we haven't. Like, everything that's ever happened to me has been awful, and it's because we didn't take these threats seriously enough when they happened. And so he's so different from everyone. Like, everyone else is so pegged on this, pride trip, obviously with Vegeta, but also with Goku. I feel like the reason we don't focus on Goku being such a big dick is because Vegeta's just a bigger dick. Regardless, like, everyone's like stuck on such a warrior's pride moment kind of thing. And Trunks comes in there and he's such a pragmatist. He really is, I feel it's very identifiable that future Trunks, at least, is much more Bulma's son than he is Vegeta's. It's just so... He has so much more of her worldview because she's the one that actually raised him. Yeah. And I find that really interesting. And
even more, you could probably get... We always talk about this a lot, and I suppose it's like get into a different thing, but a lot of the fan base always kind of wishes, oh, I wish Gohan did like live up to the mantle and surpass someone. I feel like Trunks is what you get when Gohan is the leader, and you get people who are more like, no, let's look at this threat and try and be strategic about this. Let's like hit and run tactics. If Goku had to raise future Trunks in the future, they'd both probably be dead by now.
No, most definitely. It's just, it comes from a completely different worldview because they always got so much time and so many opportunities, and they come from this like, oh, well, okay, what's the worst case scenario? We just wish someone back with the fucking Dragon Balls.
Yeah, we'll win again.
It's so carefree. It's like kind of this world without consequences almost. And yet Trunks just doesn't have that luxury, and so he's got such a darker worldview, and he just can't stand any of it. But what's really funny is the more time he spends around them, the more he kind of falls into that same line, because when Cell is beating the shit out of Vegeta, Trunks is of the opinion, no, I can't go in and help. Even though I know I'm stronger than him, or at least he thought he was. I can't go in and help because it'll hurt my father too much. Like, he kind of gets tripped up on that after spending a year with Vegeta. He gets tripped up on that and stuck in that worldview a little bit. And so it's interesting how the character changes as he's roped into these new people's worldview.
Yeah, and I think that's very much... You said earlier that he's definitely more Bulma's child than Vegeta's. And I feel like that point in the Cell arc, after he spent the year with Vegeta, is when you truly get like, okay, this is what their like actual son would be, is where he has the pride of Vegeta. He's really cocky because he just assumes he can beat Cell, and he fucks up in very similar way where Vegeta would fuck up, where he just thinks, oh, power is the way to win. Even have this back before when Gohan dies and he like rushes off to fight the androids on himself, and he's like, oh, I can take it, I'm a Super Saiyan now, and he gets his ass kicked. There's very Vegeta-ish traits, but he's also, he always is never out of place of proving he's the best. He kind of adds Vegeta's cockiness to this desire that Bulma has of like trying to help people, and it's a really interesting mix of when you get this not so much pride in yourself, but pride in keeping other people safe. And that's kind of what Trunks is, and he fails a lot because of it.
And that's kind of what he really carries that on and goes further with that when you get into Super and the Goku Black stuff.
Oh yeah.
He is so invested in the people of the Earth that he is trying to protect. He is so into them and just about trying to save the whole human race. He's carrying that weight on his shoulders, and he's doing it through just trying to be the strongest he possibly can, and he's like so self-sacrificing in that arc. There's a bunch of, you know, dead ends where they think they finally got a chance to take down Goku Black, and then Trunks comes in and has to, you know, nearly get himself killed to try to, you know, save the hope, as it were.
Yeah.
You know, I wish I would have thought of this comparison on my own, but I did just watch Mr. Fusion's video on this, and really great point is Trunks is Luke in Empire. He's the one that, like, he always thinks he can do it, and then he's just not ready yet, he's not good enough yet, and then he kind of gets beaten for it. And that's kind of he's perpetually Luke in Empire. We get that filler episode where he's Luke in Jedi, but that's a very, very brief filler episode.
It's almost as if like he turns up as Luke in Jedi and then regresses, because I see a lot of people, I guess maybe going to more of the controversial aspects of Trunks' character, because we've kind of just been hailing him for now, but a lot of people do think that Trunks topped too early, because he never really, especially like just Z, he never really tops again after he kills Frieza. He doesn't really do anything else after that. And I can see, I'm curious what you, as a big Trunks fan, what your thoughts are on that.
Oh no, I definitely get it, and I think that kind of makes sense, because, you know, the Z fighters do have, like, it's so funny the way Dragon Ball Z Abridged brings this up, but everyone does have such a just wait for Goku mentality. Like, Goku's gonna save the day every single time, and no one else seems to really put it on their shoulders except Vegeta, but he does that for all the wrong reasons. And so Trunks, like, he's kind of raised his whole life trying to find a way to defeat the artificial humans, and he just can't do it, and he watches his master die, and it's super sad. Side note, best Super Saiyan transformation, period, end of story. But you know, he's got so much on his plate, and yet his whole life has been devoted to, you know, basically bide time till my mom can make a time machine and we can go get Goku so he can save us. Like, his whole life has been built around wait for Goku. So once he gets there, that's it. It's just, what else is he supposed to do? His whole worldview has been informed by this. And he doesn't really get a chance to shine again until we get to the Goku Black stuff, which I really, really love. I was talking to Steve, and he warned me, oh yeah, Super's hit and miss, the Goku Black arc is really bad, and anyone who doesn't like the Goku Black arc, I just don't get it, man. It's nearly perfect to me. It might be the best Dragon Ball arc, period.
Ooh. I don't know if I go that far, but I definitely do like it a lot more than the... I don't know about vast majority, because it's very 50-50,
okay.
That arc specifically. Simply because people love Goku Black, like specifically him, that people think he's great. People love seeing Trunks again. People love the tone. It's probably one of the only arcs in Super that actually has a proper narrative that isn't just a tournament or something. But then people dislike is they don't like how it ends. A lot of the pacing can be a bit hit and miss. They do go back and forth to the future a lot. So yeah, it's 50-50 with fan base, but no, I can see why you'd be able to fall in love with it.
Oh no, I mean it's great. The moment where we get like the spirit sword is so perfect. The it's almost like an episode of Star Trek where like Zamasu and Black had the perfect plan, and then their own ambition ended up ruining it for them. Where he's like, oh yeah, Zamasu has an unbreakable body and Goku Black is unbeatable in combat. So if they just kept with that, they would have been fine. They would have completely dominated. No one would have had a chance. But the fact that they merged created a weakness, and that's just really, really clever writing. I really like that stuff. It's like straight out of Star Trek or some shit, or Doctor Who, whatever. And then so Trunk exploits that, and you get the moment with the spirit sword, so he's created his own attack. It's just, there's so much about that I really, really like, and it is, to me, the high point that we didn't get post the murder of Cyber Frieza.
No, definitely, because that's where that's the arc that makes Trunks the only other, like, apart from Goku and Gohan, to get a major kill on a bad guy. So it's one of the highest wins you can give him, and it really is his arc. I do feel like the whole idea of, because we get this tease, especially once we get to the Buu Saga, and even like the video games like Xenoverse and stuff with like that version of Trunks, we always get told that, oh, time travel's a bad thing, time travel, you shouldn't do it. But it never really seems like a bad thing, and then this arc specifically calls Trunks out for that, and the whole idea of mortals interfering in matters they shouldn't, and then Trunks specifically being the character who has no like ego, who has no pride, calling out the most egocentric character in Dragon Ball so far, is really perfect. He is, Zamasu is his villain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I love the way that it all reflects, and there's just so much going on there that really, really works for me. I think it is, you're probably right. They do go back and forth way too many times. It does seem to get a bit ridiculous. Almost like they're restarting the level of a video game or some shit. I can see that, but I still love it, warts and all. It works so perfectly, and you've got like it's almost like Dragon Ball's version of Age of Ultron with Zamasu and his whole reflection on like mortality and stuff. I think it's too good. Especially like the scene with the fucking tea brewing and the Master Kai and shit. That's so good. Anyway, yeah, so Trunks's place in there I find just absolutely thrilling and super impactful and very, very important and very cathartic to the character. And I think it's particularly interesting that he gets to interact with Vegeta again post Buu, because Vegeta goes through a lot of changes after the Cell arc, and Trunks just doesn't get any, interaction with it. So to have him back for that is really cool, and I think they work together and play off of each other quite well. And
yeah, the father-son Gallic Gun is fantastic.
Yes. Really, really great stuff. Okay, so elephant in the room then. We've only been talking about Future Trunks, and this video is not called Geeky Gentleman Future Trunks. It's called Geeky Gentleman Trunks. So what do we think of Kid Trunks into GT Trunks?
Alright, Kid Trunks and GT Trunks, I'll both describe them in one kind of like sentence, because I do think that it's the same problem with each of them, is they're both really good ideas. That's about it. Like the idea of, like you say, because it's set up so well, Future Trunks never got to interact with Vegeta when he was growing up. He was in like a horrible timeline where he couldn't enjoy being rich. It didn't matter anymore. He just had to survive and to fight. Kid Trunks doesn't have to worry about that. He practically gets to be Kid Vegeta, royal prince on his own planet, where Bulma is basically the richest person, the most powerful person in the world. He gets to have everything. He gets to have his dad, who has changed now, thanks to his future self. He just can become Super Saiyan instantly. He gets everything handed to him. And getting to have that character in contrast to Future Trunks is a really good way of showing, okay, that's why Trunks specifically turned out that way. It makes both characters stronger, because you see that he wasn't destined. It was like his upbringing that made him that way. But then the problem with that is they don't do anything else with him with that. He just kind of sticks around with Goten and then stays that way, even in Super. He doesn't do anything.
Yeah, as you get Kid Trunks into GT Trunks, and I mean Kid Trunks is still Kid Trunks in Super. There's really no distinction whatsoever.
He doesn't even grow. He looks younger.
Yeah, he gets interaction with his future self, and that was really interesting too.
Yes.
Well, his alternate future self, I should say. And that was really interesting, but that's more interesting in reflection to future Trunks than it is to Kid Trunks. So yeah, as I tend to agree with you for the most part. I will still say that the first time future Trunks ever goes Super Saiyan is probably one of the best scenes in all of Dragon Ball if you're a Vegeta fan, because it's just such a like kick to the pride, but also this thing to be really proud of. So like all of Vegeta's internal conflict on screen in one instant as little Super Saiyan Future Trunks runs around the gravity room. I think I cried laughing the first time I saw that as a kid.
And it's something I appreciate just because, like, you can only, like, the whole arc prior to that was just, all right, here's new different types of Super Saiyan. Here's all the different kinds of Super Saiyan you can have. Everything's Super Saiyan, Super Saiyan, Super Saiyan. So you really can't go any further with that without just saying, okay, you've seen it all. Here's a kid just doing it. Like, that's brilliant because you can't play it out anymore. People complain about it, but I think that's the only other way you could go with it at that point. It's been so overdone. So I really appreciate that.
So my theory on Goten and Trunks being able to go Super Saiyan so young is like, it's not at all really justified by the canon or anything, but I've heard like theories like, oh well, Goku was having sex with Chi-Chi when he was a Super Saiyan, so like the genes were more in line for that or whatever. Like I've seen all these stupid fan theories. My theory is that the limit or the ability to go Super Saiyan was already there in every Saiyan. That's pretty well established the second Vegeta turns Super Saiyan and clearly has not evolved very much as a person. He's not pure of heart or anything by the time he embraced it. So we've pretty much established that any Saiyan could have gone Super Saiyan in the history of the race, but it was a legend that was unachievable until Goku did it. And so you got Goten and Trunks growing up in that, around it, and to them now, that's just a thing you can do. So to them, it makes so much more sense to me that they'd be able to break that because as a kid, you don't necessarily understand limits. And so to me, it always made more sense that Goten and Trunks would have an easier time accessing the Super Saiyan form. Being any good at it is a completely different matter, but accessing it, I totally agree with. So yeah, Kid Trunks, I don't know, he's super cocky, he is super, full of himself and everything. The way he acts, especially when he's fused with Goten, is just ludicrous. They are unruly children, and are kind of the exact antithesis of future Trunks. Where you look at the Goten versus Super Buu fight, it's a fucking game. They're treating it like it's a goddamn game, and literally he's just killed all of humanity, right? Like, they're gone. He just killed your mom. I don't think that they knew that, though, I'll be fair.
No, he did. Goten knew it. That's kind of what makes it even more jarring.
Goten knew?
Yeah, okay. They saw it, and they went to the time chamber, and then, like, Goten... And then they make a point of, like, oh, Goten's really angry at this point, and Trunks is like, whoa, okay, I better keep up with him. And then when he's Gotenks, he still kind of doesn't mention it. But okay. I kind of buy it because I love Gotenks so much. It's just...
Yeah. Well, like, it just goes to show that he is very much the Trunks that would have grown up if all these guys with their no consequences worldview was around. And I find that really interesting. I do like him a bit more, not much, because he doesn't really get much to do besides just be there for the role Bulma would fill, but he can occasionally fight some people. I do like him a little bit more in GT, particularly like the very beginning of GT. When he's like
CEO
running
Trunks,
Capsule Corp.
Like that idea,
yeah, when he's like running Capsule Corp and stuff. I really like that. That's cool. That is something I can totally buy, especially like I'd particularly be interested to see the masculinity and macho attitude of a Saiyan brought into the world of upper class business people. I think that could actually be really interesting commentary there.
Yeah.
Similar to the movie Wolf with Jack Nicholson. Anyway, so I do quite like that, but yeah, it's all concept over execution. He really doesn't get much to do. The second they go out into space, he's basically Bulma and Namek all over again, except he gets to hit a couple people.
This whole idea with Super and GT having this focus on Goku's generation the hero. This further in the top, Goku's a grandfather and he's still taking charge. It kind of means that he's trying to distance himself from his father and he's lazing around because he's still got that potential as the youngest Super Saiyan 4. Gohan, he's a scholar, but he still wants to protect his family, and then Trunks being a CEO, Pan as well. There's all these great concepts, Oob even, but this generation never gets fleshed out, and I really feel like as much as I love Goku, like Goku's like in my top 3 favorite characters, I do feel like Dragon Ball does kind of need a series where it's just that generation, where Goku and Vegeta's time have, it's up to them just to see, because there's such a different dynamic and such a really well fleshed out ensemble cast. Because as much as I like Tien and Yamcha and Krillin, or maybe Krillin does get this, but like they don't get nearly as much development as build up as like Ghost and Trunks do. So seeing them take that kind of supporting cast role at the forefront, I feel could be really.
You're cutting out a lot there, but I think we got the gist of what you're saying. And yeah, I do wish that Dragon Ball could properly continue without Goku. It's just the marketing never will let that happen, is the thing. And that just becomes kind of a problem. I was thinking about this the other day, and like sometimes reading Dragon Ball feels like reading a Justice League comic, but the only one who's allowed to do anything is Superman. And that gets really, really annoying. Because it's got such well fleshed out characters, but they never get to do anything besides just wait, and that does get really frustrating. So like Trunks is a really cool character, and you could do interesting things with the kid that had to grow up with Vegeta as a father, as opposed to the kid who had to grow up with just Bulma. You could do really interesting things there, and it could go in interesting directions, but it's just a question of, would anyone ever let you? And the answer is probably no. So it's complicated. Like a lot of this stuff, it's just complicated. So do you have like a favorite design for Trunks, favorite look for him? Because he does go through quite a few outfits over the course of his appearances in the series, way more than Goku or Vegeta ever go through, it seems. So do you have a favorite look for Trunks, future kid, what have you?
That's a good question. You're right. He goes through probably just as many hairstyles as Gohan. I think my favorite overall look would be his one in Super, because it keeps the idea of the jacket, but makes it less of a crop top. I like the scarf. People still feel like, is that Android 17 scarf, or is that Future Bulma scarf, or what is it? But I just like the look of it. I like how it plays off when he goes into like his Super Saiyan unnamed form, but it looks really cool with the blue. I think that's a cool design. So yeah, Super Trunks is probably my favorite look. And then behind that, I quite like when he has the jacket, but he has like when he left the time chamber hair, when he's like long and got it in a ponytail. I think that's quite cool.
See, I never liked the long hair. The long hair just looked a little too much. It was totally believable, and then like they just couldn't decide whether or not they wanted to keep it, and that got kind of silly. Because they had Bulma cut it during the filler, and then he just grows it all back during the Cell games. So there's that. So I never really quite liked the long hair, though. Not that I have a problem with people having long hair. I mean, look at me. But I don't know. I never quite dug the long hair. For me, it was always that fucking sword, man. That's the coolest shit in the world. And like just to see him show up with it in the Frieza arc, it's super neat. Or at the end of or to kill Frieza at the beginning of the Android arc. It's really neat. It's really cool. I really really dig it. So yeah, that look for him is just really really cool, and I really like it. But yeah, the way they brought him back in Super is pretty neat too.
Yeah, especially because I guess that's also a similar question, because Trunks is, people, they can't really decide how to draw Trunks' Super Saiyan hair. Like as a kid or as an adult, it's because I get it. He's like the only character in the entire series who has normalish hair who turns Super Saiyan. So it's like, how does that work? But like sometimes it's like very floofy. Sometimes it's like straight up like Gohan. Sometimes it's drawn with a bang. And it's not like he's in different Super Saiyan grades or anything. He's just, most of it is Super Saiyan 1. He's drawn so many different styles, and I don't know why, it just gets me every time.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. It just seems like, yeah, you just do the split down the middle and that's it. It's just raising up on end, but they don't seem to really know where to go with it. Yeah, I guess I'm not surprised that neither of us picked Broly Trunks. Funny story, when I was a kid, I had a Super Saiyan figure, and it was actually a Broly toy, and I did not know that. And when I saw Trunks in the, end of the semi-perfect cell part right there, fighting Perfect Cell, and going in that full form, I'm like, oh, so this is like Trunks, but in like a different outfit or something. No, it's Broly. It's just one of those weird things. That you got Berserker Saiyan Trunks, I think they call it, or something like that. Is
or
what
like
that
Ultra,
form's been called.
something like that.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's just a thing that exists, and it feels like that's just kind of what gave Toriyama or whoever the idea for Broly.
Oh no, it is. It is. They've stated it. It wasn't Toriyama, but like Toei, when they were making the Broly movie, like they based that design off like the white eyes and everything. Yeah, it's
That's too funny. That's too funny. Oh man, I love it how lazy a lot of anime and manga stuff is. It's just so like no, we thought this was cool, so we did it. It's not like some kind of, they don't even attempt to hide it. It's beautiful.
It's some great honesty, honestly.
Yeah, really. Okay, so favorite design. What else we got with Trunks? Do you have a favorite like single moment with Trunks?
All right. I think I'll do two. No, you know what? I won't do two. I'll just do one for each, just to be fair, because I don't want to neglect all the other Trunkses. All right. So my favorite movement for future Trunks would probably either be the Vegeta goodbye at the end of Super, where like they do the fist and like he catches the fist and they just smile at each other and there's no words, and then he just sees like Gohan and he starts like breaking down because like Gohan he finally looks like his master and he's like, I'm sorry I failed you, I'll try better. Like that whole ending for that arc of when like Trunks really says his goodbyes in Super, that's fantastic, and that kind of encapsulates everything of like I don't need to see that character again. I love future Trunks, but I think that's a perfect send to his story. Like he's finally the hero, he's ready to defend it. For Kid Trunks, I guess trying to think now because he doesn't do much, but I do really like his fight with Goten in the tournament, in the Buu arc, and obviously his moment with Vegeta when like Vegeta like knocks him out and says like, I haven't hugged you since you were a child, and like he just starts blushing like that's really great, and it lets you see the kid. I wish it lets you see the like for the whole arc he's just brash before that, but then you see like this kid, he just wants to be like his dad, and he just wants him to notice him, so that's a really humanizing moment. And for GT Trunks, it probably would be the very first episode of GT, I think, is where he's in his business suit and they're like handing him all these like Capsule Corp like office notes he has to sign off and something. So he just like flies off the window and he just starts, and then his secretary's like, oh, not again.
Yeah, those are all great. For me, for future Trunks, it is the moment that he like first realizes the kind of person Vegeta is, when he's just like, he's kind of grown up with stories and like half-truths about his dad because no one wanted to hurt his feelings and tell him that his dad was an asshole, and then like he has to really confront it and just learn the kind of person Vegeta is and just how selfish and brass, and it's just, you just feel the whole worldview drop away, and that's like a really intense moment, and it kind of starts to summarize a lot of his journey throughout that arc. The Kid Trunks, it's really close to your moment with the Vegeta hug. It's very, very close to that. It's when Vegeta's been like had his ass handed to him by Buu, and Trunks is there trying to help him and save him, and Goten's like, this is really bad. He's like, my dad's a prince and he's gonna defeat this monster. Like he is, like it's right at the edge of where he's losing it. And so I really do like that one. And then for GT Trunks, Bo Para Para.
Yes.
Okay. Everyone, thanks very much for watching. Until next time, I'm the Philosopher.
And I'm the Brook Without Fear.
And we are your geeky gentlemen. And we will be discussing things.